Amongst the initial cast of cookies in TOA, two of them launched with their respective rate-up banners, and while Cream Soda went on to be everybody's mains, Rai had a much smaller yet still positive reception, at least for the first week. However, as people got more familiar with the game and started doing proper theory crafting, the minority of opinions who actually care about this stuff has gradually shifted, but the majority of people still believe that she is good, or might I say, are huffing intense copium. Join me as I present my case for Rai being the most overrated DPS in TOA. So, Rai Cookie is a primarily single target unit. Her basic attacks consist of 6 rounds of bullets, with the first round applying a mark which increases her crit damage to the targeted enemy. Her skill is a straight fire of bullets, and for her ultimate, she spins around and finally has access to the elusive multi-target damage which nearly every other cookie has. Her stipulations as a single target exclusive damage dealer would have been acceptable if her numbers were good enough to justify her role, but her numbers just don't cut it. It's one thing to only be able to be function in single target scenarios, but it's a whole other problem when you're not even out damaging AoE damage dealers. Her uncompetitive damage can be proven in two separate ways. In terms of actual raw numbers, a person by the name of Nova has already done DPS calculations. I've gone through these calculations myself, and have found them to be accurate enough representations of the real game. And according to these calculations, with no external buffs, Rai Cookie at 5 stars gets out-damaged by both Dark Choco and Cream Soda. And if Rai Cookie is at 2 stars, which is a more reasonable level, she gets out-damaged by Ginger Brave using a rare artifact. Furthermore, the DPS difference between 5-star Rai and 2-star Dark Choco is greater than the gap between 5-star Rai and 5-star Cream Soda. This is, frankly speaking, absolutely absurd. The raid boss leaderboards also reflect this. Of the 3 raid bosses we've had, Win has had a damage bonus for the last 2. However, last week's Florets was also vulnerable to water, and this week's Banacong is weak to dark. Of these bosses, Rai has been the best pick in neither, even though this is the specifically single target oriented game mode. On the flip side, it's also difficult to overstate how bad Rai is in AoE scenarios. Her only ability that can hit multiple targets is her ultimate, meaning that for the majority of the time, she will be at a major disadvantage compared to any other DPS in AoE scenarios. Hypothetically, let's say Rai and Cream Soda does the exact same single target damage. In this scenario, outside of Rai's ultimate, she will be doing relatively 50% less damage compared to Cream Soda when there are 2 targets, 66% when there are 3, and so on and so forth. The worst part is that, even going through all this damage talk, she still has more issues to overcome. But still focusing on her damage first. Her damage, well, rather the absence of it, can be attributed to poor scaling, but also another important factor, being her promotions. As opposed to other cookies which become fully functional at a mere 2 stars, with further promotions supplementing their damage output, Rai's second promotion supplements her damage, whilst further promotions serve to make her more functional. As a ranged cookie, Rai has a variety of different handicaps which no other main DPS cookies have to deal with. She's the only cookie to have an ammo bar which prevents her from spamming basic attacks. Although this is mitigated by her 4th promotion, where dashing will allow you to reload once every 6 seconds. That's the issue, it takes up her entire 4th promotion slot, where Dark Choco gets an extra 900% of attack as scaling, Cream Soda gets to reduce the stats she needs to get off her wave. Rai gets to mitigate a weakness that no other cookies have to deal with. Rai's passive also has multiple flaws. Her mark is purely single target, and you don't get refunded if you miss or hit the wrong target, as well as not buffing her special skill and ultimate until you promote her to 5 stars, which once again takes up the entire 5-star promotion. The fact that something that 100% should have been in her base kit instead took up her 5th promotion is plain dumb. Compare this to other cookies. Dark Choco gains a massive 50% defense pet on his ultimate. Cream Soda gains a huge damage buff to her wave alongside getting her full 3 stacks on her ultimate. Rai gets something that should have been on her base kit, which means of the 3 unique promotions every cookie has, 2 of them are just mitigating weaknesses that other cookies don't have for Rai. Where Rai has to find trouble in marking enemies, other cookies simply have self-buffs, which apply to every enemy hit, as well as applying to all of your skills without requiring a promotion. As to her damage, Rai also has a lot of clunk in her kit, which prevents her from always functioning at full capacity. Even as a ranged cookie, her range is not that impressive, but her classification as a ranged character means that she is afforded lower base stats than melee characters, particularly in HP. Her ranged projectiles also have 0 homing whilst having a tiny hitbox, actually enabling enemies to dodge her attacks. Even if it's really easy to land her shots, the fact that they could be a concern is still points for clunkiness. But the most egregious example is her skill. Her skill takes so unnecessarily long to finish, you could even consider it as a channeling skill. It's also extremely short range, which defeats the whole purpose of her being a ranged DPS in the first place. But the biggest mistake is that once you lock in a direction, you are fully unable to re-aim it, which is horrible when you consider the fact that other enemies also have straight firing projectiles. So if an enemy attacks you while you are using a skill, you're forced to either face tank the projectile or sidestep it, causing your skill to entirely whiff. I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say that Rai is truly the most overrated DPS in TOA as of current. She has poor single target DPS to justify her single target specification, whilst also having extremely health bait promotions and gameplay. In summary, Rai bad.